Hi guys, you're welcome to Genius Ideas. In this video, we are going to be creating a real estate website landing page. So this is the website over here. It is mobile responsive. So this is the website we are going to be creating. The code for this website that we are trying to write, I've uploaded it to GitHub already. So you can also use it to follow the tutorial. So you can visit github.com/chrishalogen/blue sky real estate. So if you come to this link, you can check for it in the description below. So this is the code over here, so you can always use this to navigate what you are trying to following up the tutorial. Without wasting much of our time, let's get into it. So I have a folder that I've created already. I've opened my VS Code in the folder. These are the images I'm going to be using. So getting started, I have to create an index. No, I want the index.html file to be outside. So index.html. Then after this, I'm going to be creating a folder, or I'm going to be creating a folder where I'm going to be having my styling. So styles. So inside these styles, I can have something like index.css. Actually, it should be index.scss. So the um, the SCSS compiler will compile everything to CSS for me. If you are looking for an SCSS compiler for VS Code, look for Live SAS compiler. This is my Live SAS compiler over here. So yes, this Live SAS compiler over here. You can see this is the Live SAS compiler. Install it in your VS Code. It will compile the SAS for you. So I want this one to occupy half of my screen. Then my index.html will occupy half. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is to start the HTML format. Alt Z. So this is the name of the website we want to build is Blue Sky Real Estate. Blue Sky Real Estate. If I save this first, I need to import some things to be able to complete this project. So if you take a good look at this project now, at some point you're going to be seeing some icons. You can see all these icons. If you come to the footer, these icons, they are coming from a platform called Font Awesome. So if you come to Google and you look for Font Awesome, so this first one, this is Font Awesome over here. So Font Awesome has a lot of free fonts that you can use in your project, and fonts actually add to the beauty of a website. I mean icons rather. So fonts do as well. So for me to make this font Awesome font available, I can do something like arrow right. Okay, you can see all the arrow rights it's giving me, but I'm using the free version, so just come to free. So it will filter all the results and give you all the free versions of arrow rights. So for me to bring font awesome into my project, I can easily go to cdn.js. So if I come to cdn.js, I'll come here and look for font awesome. So just click on this first one. So what you're looking for is this first one. So you copy the link tag, then come to your project inside the HTML head. So you paste it here. So this is the first thing that we need to copy. The second one, we need to bring in the fonts we are going to be using because they are not web safe fonts. So this title font that we have is called Playfair Display. Then this is Fira Sans. So you can see all these fonts, they are called Fira Sans, while these ones are Playfair Display. So both of them are available on Google Fonts. So I can just go to fonts.google.com. When I get to fonts.google.com, what I'll do is that I will look for the fonts Fira Sans. Yes, this first one over here. So you can see Fira Sans that I have over here now. So I'll just select any one that I want. The one that I want is regular 400, but I've selected it before coming to this video. So normally you can see, just click on it and it will select it. So the second one is Playfair. I can select any font weight that I want, but the one I want to use for my project is just regular 400. So we have Playfair display. So this first one over here, Playfair display, is the second font. That is the title font that we have over here. So this Playfair display, you just select the bold one, this bold 700. So both of them, I have them selected already, this and then Playfair display, this one. So two ways I can add the font to my project. I can decide to add it using the link tag, the HTML link tag, or I can add it to my CSS using this import statement here. So I will prefer to use this one. So let me just copy this. After copying it, then I'll open my CSS file, paste it here, or see it. Okay, so if I save this, you can see the font is available now. So let me colors. Then the first color we are going to be having is the primary color. This color is going to be 061 D46. I want to create all my mixins first. Then we have the secondary color. So this secondary color is going to be 313131. Then we are going to be having the text color. Why is this? Okay, I'm supposed to have this here. So we are supposed to be having the text color. So this is just text. So for this text, the text is 929292. Then we have the accents. So this accent is going to be the color of the buttons and all that. FC941C. So after this one, we're going to be having white. Yes, white. No, it's supposed to be $white. So for this white, it's just the normal FFFFFF. Then the last color we're going to be having is pink. So for this pink, we're going to be having FE, F8, EA, FE, So those are the colors I'm going to be using. Then now let me create my breakpoints. BREAK. Then my breakpoints. So these breakpoints, I'm going to be having breakpoints 480. So this one will be the smallest screen. That is 480 pixels. So I can just duplicate this one. Okay, so the next one is going to be 600. The next one is going to be 900. Then this last one is going to be 1200. Now I'm going to be writing the mixin for the breakpoints. So mixin for breakpoints. So I'm going to be saying at mixin, then I'll say my max width for no, I'm supposed to declare the name of the mixin first. The name of this mixin will be below 1200. That will be the name of the mixin. So then I'll come and say at media, then I'll declare the rule max width. So this max width is going to be having a break point of 1200. So open the whole of this now, write the contents. Okay, so it is very important to declare all these ones first. So the mixing for below 1200, then you come and write this at media just like in your CSS, then you declare the rule which is max width. It's going to be the breakpoint 1200, and don't forget the breakpoint 1200 is 1200 pixels. Then you have at content inside, so you can just duplicate this. So after duplicating this, breakpoint 1200, breakpoint 900, then I'm supposed to have this here. So after breakpoint 900, we have breakpoint 600, then don't forget this one, then we have breakpoint 480. Breakpoint 480. Okay, so we'll move on. Now, from Google Fonts, I got my Playfair display and my SASS. So now the for texts, mixing for text. So the first one I'm going to be declaring is the font for Playfair. Then the other one will be the font for SASS. So at mixing, then I named it as font Playfair. Then no, okay, so just font family. So this will be Playfair display, Playfair display. Then the other one will be the fallback font to be serif. Then I can just copy. So this one will be font Fira. Okay, so this will be Fira Sans. Fira Sans. Then this will be sans serif. So sans serif. So moving on, I'm going to be having the mixing for my title texts. So the mixing for title text. So for this title text, I'm going to be having a font weight of 700. Then the font size is going to be 5 rem. Then line height is going to be 1.1. So now this is where responsive design comes in. SASS makes it very easy, so I can just include below 900. So this will be on screens that are above 900. If the screen is above 900, then use this font. But if they are below 900, I don't want you to use this font. I want you to use something else. So if they are below 900, I want you to do the font size as 3.5 rem. But I think I also need to reduce it further if the screen is below 480 pixels. If it is below 480 pixels, then the font size is supposed to be 2.5 rem. Okay, so that will be all for the title text. Now I'm going to be having the mixing for the header text. So for this header text, the font weight is also going to be 700. Then the font size is going to be 3.5 rem. Then okay, just 940. Let me also reduce it a bit on these smaller screens for usability. So for this one I can have it as 2.75 rem. Then for this other one I can say 2.25 rem. So the last text I'm going to be working with is the regular text. At include then the regular text. So for this regular text, the font weight is going to be 400. Font weight is going to be 400, and the font size is going to be 1 rem, just straight away. So now another mixing that I'm going to be writing, layout mixings. For the layout mixings, I'm going to be having at mixing, then I will have inner box. So for this inner box, the width is going to be 100%. Then I'm going to be setting the maximum width to 1200 pixels. Then the margin right is going to be auto. I want to center it. Then the margin left also will be auto. Then another mixing I want to add is the flex container. So this flex container, it will come in handy at mixing. Then we have the flex container. So it is better you create all these mixings at the beginning, so you'll be able to be using them when you start. So I'm going to be including my inner box. So this inner box that I wrote here, I'm going to be including it in the flex container. Then I will display as flex. Then I will justify the content, space between. Then I will align items center, but I will also add another mixing here at include. So if it is below 1200 pixels, padding left should be 2 rem and padding right to be 2 rem. So if the screen is getting below 1200 pixels, I want it to give it some sort of padding on the left and the right, so it will push the content inside. The content will not just be at the edges of the screen, so it will give some sort of pushing in and pushing left and pushing right too. So that is that about that. So now we can start writing the code proper. So these are my mixings, everything is good to go. Then this is my HTML too. So let me just say h1 blue sky. If I should save this and I come to go live, first I need to be watching my SASS. Let me press go live. Okay, so it have opened my server for me. You can see blue sky. So it is serving the HTML file already, so we can start working on the site proper. So we are going to be starting with the header. For the header, the header So for this header, we're going to be having a header tag, and this header inside, I'm going to be having an inner container that also has a class of menu container, an ID rather. So the dot is the class, this hash symbol is for ID, menu container. Then okay, let me just so bring it in. Then I'm going to be having the image, which is for the logo. If you come here, you can see this logo over here. So the first thing I want to do is to bring in the image. So for this one, the image I used is in assets, so everything is in the same directory as the HTML file. So if I come here, you can see this first one over here. So assets slash then blue sky real estate. So that will be the blue sky logo. This is very important for SEO. So the next thing we want to do is to add a menu toggle class. So if you come to visit this site on mobile, you can see this menu toggle over here. This is what it will look like on a mobile phone on a screen that is 713. If you shrink it even further, so it is very important, this menu toggle over here, we are going to be adding it. So that is the second element to add. So menu toggle, then I will also give it a class of menu toggle. Okay, so I'll just leave it empty like that. So another thing I want to do is to now add the navigation bar. So the navigation bar is what I want to add now. If I should go back to the bigger screens, you can see this navigation bar over here. Now if you take a good look at what I have here, I said the header text, I want it, no, not the header text. So this inner box, the width is going to be 100%, but the max width is going to be 1200. So that is the reason why you're having everything in center like this. No matter how big the screen is, even if it goes to 2600 and whatsoever, the website is going to be in the content of the website will be in the middle, and the maximum width is going to be 1200. But if you come to a screen that is lesser than 1200, it will want to occupy the whole screen. So I had to use this padding left and right, this padding left and right over here if the screen is below 1200, to push it in a bit, push the content in, If I should go back, it will return to 1200, but if I come, it will push it in. So that is why I'm using that. So now I can add my navigation menu. So my navigation menu, I can do something like nav, then inside the nav I'm having an unordered list. Then inside the unordered list, I'm going to be having 5 items. So I'm going to be multiplying by actually 7. So but it's going to be list item, then inside the list item I'm going to be having an anchor link. So this is something that if you are doing it often, you will get used to it. So you can see how it created all these things for me. So all this href, for now we are just going to be using, let me close this one so I can have more room. So just close all these ones. So just I'm using all these placeholders for the link because I'm not concerned about it for now. So the first one is explore, the second one is listing, the third one is services, then the next one is features. The next one is realtors. Then if you come back here, you can see this donate and contact us. But if you come to a smaller screen, you can see the donate and contact us as part of the menu. So I'm going to be adding donate and contact us as part of this one, and I will create it here. So on a bigger screen, the donate and contact us will show here, but on a smaller screen, the donate and contact us will show together with the menu items. So come back here, then so this will be donate, then contact us, donate and contact us. Very good. So after the navigation bar, the last thing we want to add is this other one, this donate and contact us over here. We've added for this one, now we want to add for this one. So I'm going to be using an ID CTA buttons, then inside I'm going to be having an anchor link multiplied by 2. So CTA buttons, then exactly, so this is going to be this, then this is going to be this. So this will be donate, and this is going to be contact us. This header section is arguably the most difficult part of this website. This header section is arguably the most difficult part. Every other part is straightforward, but if you can find your way around the header, the remaining part of the site is just chopsticks. So okay, if I should save this and I come back to my web page, you can see how tattered everything looks. You can see how tattered everything looks. So the first thing I want to do to start writing my CSS, if I click on watch SASS, so I'm supposed to click on it before now actually. So it is now watching my SASS. Every time I make some changes to this item over to this file over here, it will compile the SASS to another to the CSS file. I believe that in your SASS tutorial you understand what I mean. So if you come to styles, this is index.scss. So let me save this. It's showing me an error. I don't know where the error is coming from. Undefined mixing, regular text. It's telling me that I have an undefined mixing over here. Regular text. No, this should be at mixing. Sorry, that is my bad. So if I should save this, okay, it's working fine now. Please note the message. Don't note the mistake. It's supposed to be at mixing, not at include. So at mixing is where you define the mixing. At mixing is where you define the mixing. At include is where you call the mixing. So see what I did over here. I created the inner box, but I called the inner box at this point. So if you come here, you can see it have compiled the empty CSS file for me. For now, it is just the import statement that you will see. So how can I link this my CSS file that it is generating for me together with this HTML document? Very simple. You come and use the link tag in your HTML tutorial. I believe they taught you that the link tag is used to link external documents together with the current document, and the relationship between this CSS file and this HTML file is going to be style sheet. So you can see the relationship is going to be style sheet. Now I have to look for a way to link this to this. So this href, I must supply the path to this file. So what I can do, I can use this terminal command. No, I can use this terminal command, get access. No, it shouldn't be in assets, it should be in styling, which is styles, then index.css. The web browser will not understand SCSS directly. I have to write my SCSS. My SAS compiler will compile it into the CSS. Then I will link this CSS together with my HTML document. So if I should save this, you still won't see anything. But let me come back here. Now, to start writing the CSS for it, if you come here, let me call this one universal styling. Or reset. For this universal reset, you are going to be having something like the universal selector, margin is 0, padding is 0, Then the box sizing is border box. So I can also do something like the body, the body. So at include font Fira. Okay, so this will be for the body font. So now we can start working on the header. These are still general styling. So you can see it has changed all the fonts and it has removed all the styling and the margin. So come here and the header styling. So for this header styling now, you want to select this header over here, this one over here. So I can even shrink my screen a bit so I can have more room for CSS. So the header, then after this header, inside the header, I want the width to be 100%. So the header of the width is going to be 100%, like it will span through the whole screen. Even if the screen is 2000 pixels, the header itself is going to be spanning through the whole 2000 pixels. But I want to create an inner container. That is why I have this inner container over here, this inner container. So I'll select it, dot inner container. So for this inner container, I'm going to be including my inner box. If you remember my inner box is saying that, let me close this one and close this one. My inner box is saying that the width is going to be 100%. The maximum width will be 1200. Padding and margin will be auto. So that is what my inner box is doing. Then the padding, I want to give it a padding of 2 rem, then 0. So the padding top and padding bottom will be 2 rem. 2 rem will be 32 pixels, 16 pixels per one. So then another thing I want to include is the font Fira, but this is not necessary since you've added it already here. So I think you can do away with this one. So for this font Fira, I'm going to be using the grid layout here. I'm going to be using the grid layout here. So I'm going to be using grid. So how will my grid work? I will display grid. Then for the grid template column, I'm going to be doing something for the very first time in my life. I'm going to be using max content, then auto, then max content. Now if I should save the whole of this, you see how rickety the site is going to be looking now. You can see max content, which is the first one, then auto, then max content. So basically the first max content is going to be occupying the maximum of this image. So then it will give a, if you remember the menu toggle that we added, that menu toggle is what is occupying the whole of this space even though it is empty. Then we have the navigation bar, then we have the donate and the contact us button at the extreme. So but just follow me for now. Then I want to align the item center. I want to align item center. So align items center. So come here, see everything will be aligned center. You can see I've aligned the item center. So after this one, I want to include something that I put here. So include below 1200, that will be this. So I have to include this one. So on a smaller screen, I'm getting into an error here. So okay, I'm not supposed to copy this one. So okay, so 1200 left and right. So the same thing, the same way the 1200 have been working since is the same way this one too will work. So it will just push it in and push it in on a screen that is below 1200 pixels. So moving on, this menu toggle that is here, I want to hide it for now. So I can do something like dot menu, then dot menu toggle display none. So if I save this, come back here, you can see the menu toggle is no longer there, but this navigation bar is occupying the auto, which is what we have in the middle, then the maximum content, donate and contact us. So list items, they are block elements, but anchor links that are used for these two, they are inline elements. I believe you understand what I mean by that. Block elements occupy the width that is made available to it, but inline elements occupy the maximum of the content that it is containing. So that is menu toggle. Now let us style this image, which is the logo that I have over here, this logo. Let us style it. For us to style that logo, what you have to do is to select it using the img tag. So after selecting it, you can say the maximum width is going to be 100 pixels, and also the maximum height is going to be 100 pixels. If I save this, it will make the logo smaller. You can see the logo is now smaller. So that is all about the logo for now. Let us start styling the nav bar. So you first of all want to bring in your nav. No, it should be nav. So this nav is this outer container that I have over here. So for that nav, I'll just say margin is 0 auto. So margin left and right, margin top and bottom is going to be 0, then margin left and right is going to be auto, meaning that I want to center it in that space that it has. I want to center it. Then I'm going to be having my unordered list. So for this unordered list, the list style type is going to be none. If I save this and I come back here, all the bullet you can see the margin left and the margin right is auto, then all the bullet points are gone because I said the list style type should be none. So I want everything to be displaying inline. You see the way this donate and contact us is displaying inline. I want this one to display inline. So I will come here and say inside this all these list items now that are inside the unordered list, I'll come and say the list item should display inline. If I save this and I come back here, you can see everything is now displaying inline. So we move on. Now I want to start styling all the anchor links that are inside of the list item. So for all the anchor links that are inside of the list item, so the padding is going to be 0.8 rem top and bottom, then for the left and right 1.5 rem. Let me give it a background color of red temporarily so you can see what I'm doing. So come here, you can see the background color of red, so you can see the portion is going to be giving it as a pattern. So come here, let me take this one out. Now the margin is going to be 0. I don't want it to have any margin, so the margin is 0. Then I want the font size to be 1 rem. Then the text decoration is going to be none. The text decoration is going to be none. The text decoration is going to deal with the underline there. You can see this underline there. The text decoration will deal with the underline. So another thing I want to do is I want to include Fontsfera, but there's no need. So save this, and if I should come back here, you can see what it is looking like now. You can see what it is looking like. So let's continue. So for this one, the color is going to be I think 1 2 1 2 1 2. This is going to be the color of those texts, but I'm supposed to have the color here, so let me just add it upstairs. So I can do something like color, no, let me see the auxiliary text, then just to make it look neater. So auxiliary text is going to be what I'm supposed to put here. Okay, so if I save this and I come back here, you can see the color now. So I'm going to be creating a hover state for it. So for this hover state I can say and hover, then the color will be primary. If I save this, come back here, so if you hover on it, you can see the color changes instantly, but I'm going to be giving it a transition. So that will be transition, then 0.25 seconds, then just use. Save this, come back here. If you hover on it, you can see it doesn't change immediately, it fades in. So to continue what we are doing at hover, so if you remember very well, you can see this donate and contact us on the screens that are above 900, which is the bigger screens. I want to hide this one, but on those screens that are lower than it, than 900, I will display them. So for now I can select them using pseudo classes. So I'm going to be doing something like, and then the nth last child, which is going to be 2. So this will be second to the last, which is this donate one. Then for the last child, I will also do another pseudo class, nth, or I can just say last child. So for this last child, I'm going to be displaying it as none. So if I should save this and I come back here, I'm having the last child is not displaying. Okay, the reason why it's not displaying is that it's supposed to be under this list item over here. So I'm supposed to close this one, actually close the anchor link, then put those somewhere here. So this is where I'm supposed to put it. If I put this one inside the anchor link, then it is going to hide all the anchor links basically, because all of them, they are just one element each for all the anchor links inside the list item. So it is the list item, the nth last child, which is this, and the last child, which is this. Come here, you can see they are both hidden now. So that is that about that. So for these other two buttons over here, let's style them. So close the nav. After closing the nav, you can just come and say div. It will automatically select this div that is over here, so you don't necessarily have to put CTA buttons. So for both of them, I'm going to be having the anchor link, the background color of the accents. So this background color of the accent, then the font size of 1 rem. So I'm going to be having a padding. The padding is going to be 0.5 rem, then 0.85 rem. I love to use rem because even for it gives me some sort of togetherness and consistency. Text decoration is going to be none. Then the color is going to be secondary. The color of the text itself is going to be secondary, even though I feel like using white, but let me just leave it as secondary. Then after this one, the transition for the hover state, the transition is going to be 0.25 seconds, then is. So for the hover state, for both buttons now, so the hover state, no, that will be ampersand, then hover. For the hover state, the color is going to be primary. So if I save this and I come here, both of the buttons are going to be having the same styles. Understand? Both of the buttons are going to be having the same styles, which is not what I want. So what I can do here now is to style one of them individually. So how can I do that? Very simple. I can just select the first child. No, ampersand first child. So for this first child, I can say the background color should be transparent. So I'm removing all the background colors. Then I can say the color should be accents. Then the next thing I want to do is to say the margin right should be maybe 10 pixels, so it will give some space in between the first child and the second child. So this 10 pixels is going to be the spacing between the two buttons. So but for this first child too, the hover state, I want the color to be primary, so that will be ampersand hover. So the color is going to be primary. Then I can give it a transition. Okay, it has a transition already, so the transition is going to be inheriting it from this one. So come back here, you can see donate, then contact us. I think for the first one, the hover state should be white. I think it's better off as white. So by the time you'll be watching this video, I must have fixed this thing. So yeah, that is your desktop navigation menu, navbar. So now if I should try to, this is the desktop navbar. If I should expand it 200 pixels left and right, the margin is going to be auto. But if I should start shrinking it, you see how rickety it is going to be looking on mobile. This is so unpalatable to the eyes. So let's start styling it on mobile. So for the mobile styling, if the screen goes below 900 pixels, we are going to be applying those styles to it. So this is the 900, this is 830 pixels, so I can just leave it as this. So to start styling it, I can just create at include. Don't forget my mixing for mobile styling below 900 is this. I can just say below 900. So at include below 900. So at include below 900, the first thing I want to do, I will select my header, then I'm going to be selecting my inner container. So I think this one is not necessary, but you can leave it. So okay, now you're going to be doing some positioning here. You're going to be doing some positioning here because look at what you have here now. So for this header, you're going to be positioning this inner container over here. You position it as relative, you display it as flex. So you position as relative, then you display it as relative, then you position as relative, you display as flex, then you justify content space between. Let us look at this other one that is here. Control Shift. Okay, it's there already. So you can see that this is the menu toggle. This is the menu toggle. This space between. Now I'm displaying them as flex and I'm justifying them as space between. So then I think I have to align item center, but although I can still leave this one out for now. So justify content space between. Now if I save this and I come back to the one that we are working on, you can see how rickety everything looks. So it is just justifying everything space between this and this. So just follow me. um, this is the navigation. So initially I'm going to be displaying the navigation as none, but for now this is what I'll be having, display as none, and I'll be displaying this one too as none, but for now just leave it like that. So now that I've displayed it as none, you can't see anything here again. So but I'll take this one away for now. Then I'll come back here and also do an opacity of 0. Opacity of 0. So this opacity of 0 too is going to hide it, but I'll still leave that one out for now. Then you are going to, since the container is positioned as relative, I have the right to position this one as absolute. So position as absolute. Then after positioning as absolute, I can say the top, I want the top to be 150 pixels. So from the top it's going to be pushing it downwards 150 pixels. Then the left is going to be 0. So I want the background color to be the ox accent. Why is it not giving me the ox accent? I must have done something wrong with my colors. I'm supposed to have an ox accent here. Ox accent. So my ox accent is supposed to be something around A35700. Yes, that's my ox accent. So a bit deeper than the accent in color. So that will be the background of the navigation bar. So the width is going to be 100 pixels, 100% rather. So it's going to be occupying the whole screen. Then we are going to be giving it a transition, but I don't think I need it. Transition 0.25 seconds. Then using, but I'll still leave this one out for now. Okay, so if I should save this, let's see what we have so far. You can see what I have so far now. You can see where my menu is. So for the list item now, I want everything to be displaying on top of each other. Like instead of displaying inline, I want it to display blocks. So each one will have its own line. So for the list item, no, what are you doing? For the list item, display as block. Save this, then come here. You can see it is now displaying everything as block. So the border top and the border bottom now. So the border top, don't forget your CSS box model. So for the border top, I'm going to be having 2 pixels. I'm going to be having solid. Then I'm also going to be having the secondary color as the border top. Then for the border bottom, I'm also going to be having the same thing. For the border bottom, I'll be having 2 pixels secondary. Now if I save this, you can see what I have now. It is still very tiny. Because I'm viewing it on desktop. If I had an actual phone here, it would look a bit bigger. So explore, listing, and all those ones. Now if you come to the bigger screens, you can see that I hid the donate and contact us for this mobile menu. But if you come here and you open this, you can see the donate and contact us here. So let me go and show it now. How can I show it? I will come here and this list item now, I will target the nth last child. No, that will be nth last child, which is the second to the last, then the last child itself, and the last child itself. So for this last child, the display is block. instead of display none initially. So if I save this, it brings back donate and um, you can see donate and contact us is back to the equation. This donate and contact us, I'll still remove it, but just leave it for now. So now let me start the individual um, links. So don't forget the links is inside here. So I will display as block. After displaying as block, the next thing I want to do, the width inherit, then I'll do a padding inherit, then I can do a padding of 16 pixels top and bottom, then 0 left and right. Then after doing that, the next thing I want to do is to align the text to the center. If you look at what I have over here, if you come to, if I open this, you can see the text is aligned center. So come here, you can see this one, the text is still aligned to the left. So text align center. I've not saved it, so you won't see the effect. Then the color, I want the color to be white, which is FFFFFF. So white. Save this and come back here. You can see explore listing services, features, realtors, donate and contact us. Still leave these two, let them be playing there. We'll deal with it. So now actually it's time to deal with it. Then the next thing we want to do is to close this nav. Then for these other two buttons that I have, CTA buttons, I can just come here and highlight them, CTA buttons, then display as none. So on mobile it will hide those CTA buttons. You can see the CTA buttons is no longer, if you come here, okay, this is the one that is hosted already. So okay, so this is the one that we are working on. Okay, so you can see the CTA buttons is not there anymore. Come back here and now let's work on the algorithm for the menu toggle. The algorithm for the menu toggle. So for this menu toggle, don't forget that this is the menu toggle over here. Okay, and the menu toggle is inside of inner container. So I can just I can decide to do something like this. After the CTA buttons, let me work on the menu toggle. So dot menu toggle. So for this menu toggle, okay, I'll position it as relative first. Then I want the width to be 40 pixels, then the height to be 50 pixels. Then I want the cursor to be pointer, so anytime you hover over it, it will give you pointer. Then display it as flex, justify the content center, then align the items center. Okay, then now let's start. If I save this, you will not see anything there. You can see you will not see anything. So now those bars that are on the menu toggle, come here. These three bars that we have now, so those bars is what we want to create now. Creating the bars, we say dot menu toggle, then you come with a pseudo class before. So for this before, the content is going to be an empty string. So then you're going to be positioning it as absolute. Position it as absolute. Before is a pseudo class you used to add content before the current content. Then we also use after to add content after the current element. But we can always maneuver it to form those three bars that we have. So the width is going to be 100%. Then the height is going to be 3 pixels. Then the background color, I can just give it black straight away, 0000000. So if I should save this and you come here, you see you are seeing one of the bars. So that is how to create the first bar. Now you can do something like transform, translate y minus 12 pixels up. If I should save this and I come back here, it has pushed the bar up 12 pixels. So no, this should be transform. If I come back here, I think it wasn't visible. Okay, I think it has pushed it up now. So this should be transform, not transition. That was my bad. So then you create a box shadow. This box shadow, you are going to be having 0, then 12 pixels, then you're also going to be having 0000000. If I save this and I come back here, you can see I have the second bar there. So for the second bar, I can add a transition of 0.25 seconds, then is okay. So this is the content before, then let me just copy this one and paste it for content after. So actually we can use something in SCSS called extend, but I'll just leave this one for now. So position it as absolute, the width is 100 pixels, the height is 3 pixels, the background is going to be black. So the transform is going to be translating vertically, but it will be vertically, then but it will be positive 12, not negative 12 as in this case. Then I don't need the box shadow, I've created 2 bars already, so this is going to be the last bar. So save this and come here. You can see I have 2 bars. I'm supposed to have 3 bars now. Okay, this should be content after. Save this. Okay, so you can see the third bar there. That is how you create the bar. So I have the bar, then I have this menu over here. So I can come here and display it as none. TT buttons, which is the nav. So I can come here and display it as none. I don't think I need the opacity, or let me just leave it. So save. If you come here, you can see this is what the mobile menu will look like normally. So if you look at it, the mobile menu, you click on this one, it opens, and you can see this transition. You click, you click, you click. So let us work on that. Let us work on that. So I'm going to be writing a bit of JavaScript, and we are going to be doing something here. If you look at this header, then this inner container now, this is the inner container over here. If I should close this, you can see that the active class is gone. If I should open it, you see that the active class is back. If I should close it, the active class is gone. If I open it, the active class is back. So let us quickly create that active state for the header. So if I come here, for this inner container, I'm free to close this one. I'm free to close this one, close this one. I hope the sound of the boss is not becoming too annoying. I know it is annoying. So for this one, you just have to come here and add the dot active. So I'm creating the active state for the mobile menu. So for this active state, this menu toggle before, I'm going to be, if you look at this one, when you click on it, the menu, it shows this X that I have over here. So basically I'll be rotating one to the left, then I'll be rotating the other one to the right. So how can I do that? Menu toggle before, so for this one, I'm going to be transform Then I will rotate, and I'm going to be rotating 45 degrees. Then for the second one, the box shadow is going to be 0 0, then white. No, this is supposed to be $sign. Okay. Now the reason why I want to take away this box shadow is, if you look at this menu very well, the first line is the actual content before. The second line is the box shadow of this first line. So, but if you look at the active state, I have only two there. So basically, in this active state, I'm retaining the first line, but I'm taking away the second line. So the box shadow can be white. The white on the background will swallow the box shadow for me. For this third one, I can just rotate it 315 pixels, 315 degrees. So this one will be toggle after. So for this toggle after, this one will be 315. No, 315. So I don't need a work shadow for this one. So also in the active state, the navigation bar is going to be displaying, no, display, but this one, instead of inline, I'm going to be displaying it as initial. Then now I'm going to be using a keyframe to display it. If I should display it alone like this, let us write the code that will bring in that after. So I'm going to be writing a bit of JavaScript here. So if you've not learned JavaScript, you can just start learning it from here. So I can decide to write the JavaScript in a different file, but let's just write it in the script tag over here in the HTML itself. So for the JavaScript, what you have to write is very simple, just a few lines of code. So I'm going to be creating a variable. I will say let toggle be equal to document dot query selector. So query selector in JavaScript, you can use it to select a particular element. So the same way you will the CSS selector that you will use to select the element originally, you can pass it into this string over here, and it will select the first element it detects that has that CSS selector. So menu toggle. If you come here, the element that is going to be selected, if you open the header, is going to be selecting this element that is over here, this menu toggle. So that is what is going to be selected. Then now I'm going to be selecting the container, which is this one over here, this container over here. Don't forget, this container is what is housing the whole header. Just empty my trash. This is what is housing the whole header. So let's container equal to the document dot query selector again. Now I'm going to be selecting menu container. Okay, so now what do I want to happen? I will say this toggle that I have over here, this one, then I will add a click event listener. So dot add event listener. So the event listener that I want to add, it is for a click action. So when you click on it, what is going to happen? So I'll write a function. So this function, so for this function now, don't forget to close this one, just one line of code. You can do something like toggle, oh no, that will be container dot class lists dot toggle active. So basically what I'm doing here is that every time you click on this toggle element, it's going to be, it will, if the active is not there, it will add the active. If the active is there, it will remove the active. So when you click on this particular button, the action that will be taken is on this outer container over here. So it will either add the active class or remove the active class. If it is there, it will add it. If it's not there, it will remove it. So now if you look at this active state that I have, the menu toggle before and after is going to be affected. Also the navigation itself is going to be affected. So if I should come here and I come to the one we are working on, if I should reload this, so if I should close this and open this, I think we have made a mistake somewhere. Okay, the active is working. There must be something wrong with the CSS somewhere. Okay, yes, this one I'm not supposed to add the opacity here. So by default the opacity is 0, so that is why it's not showing. If I open this one, yes, you can see now that it is showing very well, it is showing properly. You can see what I have, but I don't like the way it is just coming in directly like that. I don't like the way it is just coming in directly like that. So if you open this one, you can see that it is one smooth animation that is bringing it in. For this one, it is just come and go. The transition is only affecting the toggle itself. So that is the last thing we have to do on the header actually. So in CSS, in native CSS, there is something called keyframes. There is something we call keyframes. So these keyframes is what you use to create something like an animation in CSS. So you define the time, then at every instance of the time you have the power to tell the CSS that this is what is going to be happening at every instance of the time. For example, at 0% of the time, at 20% of the time, at 50% of the time, then like that, like that. So now the keyframe that we are going to be writing, it's a very simple one. The keyframe we are going to be writing is a simple one. So the keyframe is going to be, let me write it below my flex container. So I can just do something like at keyframes. So these keyframes now, I can do something like open mobile menu. Open mobile menu. So now at 0% of the time, I want the opacity to be 0, just like what I had by default initially here. The opacity was 0. So but I'm free to remove it now. Then at 25% of the time, I want the opacity to be 0.25. At 50% of the time, I want the opacity to be 0.5. So 50. At 75% of the time, this one will be 0.75. Then at 100% of the time, your opacity is going to be 1. So now how can I add this keyframe to what I have over here? This is my nav display property here. So I can simply do that by saying animation. So for this animation, delete the whole of this one. We are not doing anything with it. So this is the name of the keyframe, open mobile menu. then I want it to, the period of the animation is going to be 0.2 seconds, then forwards. Now the reason why I'm applying forwards here is so that the after the animation is done, it will not return to the initial state. Basically, the forward, you can see that at 0% of the time opacity will be 0, but at 100% of the time opacity will be 1. So I want it to retain the property at this 100% of the time. That is why I'm using forwards there. So if I save this and I come back here, so then I come here, you can see it is now working. Those keyframes are working, and at the end of the animation it will retain the property at 100%. So that is why the opacity is going to be showing properly. If I close it, it will remove the active from this inner container, and after removing the active, then the menu is no longer active. So wow, that will be all for the header itself. I think you might want to take a you might want to take a drink, maybe a glass of water, because the header took a bit of time. Not a bit, it took a lot of time actually. So let us move on to the hero section. So this is the hero section over here. This section over here is the hero section. So for this hero section, what we have to do, I can close the header. I don't have use for it anymore. For this hero section, I'm going to be having a section tag. This section has a class of hero section. Then inside I have inner container. So inside this inner container, I'm going to be having an h1 tag. I'm going to be having a paragraph tag, and I'm also going to be having a form. Then I'm also going to be having finally an image. Very good. So if you look at the header here, this is the h1 tag, the text, the form, then the image. So if I shrink this thing a bit, you see the way the form will behave. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this h1, let's discover the right property for you. Let's discover I can just copy from here. Come back here. Yes, I can just copy this one. Let's discover the right property for you. So for the paragraph tag, find a variety of properties that suits. Okay, so now for the image, it's going to be assets. I think I used img1 for it. So let me rename this image properly. It's supposed to be hero image. Come here, this img1, I think rename main hero image. So close this one. Okay, so for this one, what am I doing? This is supposed to be here. Okay, so for the alternative text, you can say you can say house without background. Very good for SEO. So for this form, I think you're going to be having a text input. So input type is going to be text. So I don't have to name all these ones now, but it's good for you to name them actually. Well, let me just say search term. Then ID is going to be search. Then we have a placeholder there, search your home. Have a placeholder, search your home. Then I have the submit button, so input submit, then the value is going to be search. So those are the items that you're going to be having for this one. So those are the items you're going to be having for this one. Now we can start styling it. So to do the desktop styling, I'm checking my notes. Okay, let's start styling them. The hero section, I can close this. I can also close this one for now. So the hero section, for this hero section, dot hero section, so I'm targeting this section over here. So I will include inner box at include the inner box. Don't forget what the inner box is saying. This is the inner box over here, this inner box. So after the inner box, padding top 40 pixels, then padding bottom is also going to be 40 pixels. Then I'm going to be including something I included here. Yes, actually one thing we can do is to create a mixin for this one. So no, you can say mixin, then you can say mobile padding. Okay, so for this mobile padding, we just slot that one in. So I can just copy this one. So I can just say at include mobile padding, makes my work neater. Then at include mobile padding, then I can close this one. Then at include inner box, then at include mobile padding. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is for the H1, if I should save this one for now, what am I going to be getting? You see what I have for now? You see how rickety my website is looking? It's not looking any good. So but let's start styling everything one after the other. So for my H1, what do I have? I will include font playfair. Then I will also include what is wrong with this one? Include title text. Then another thing I want to bring in is the color. I want the color to be primary. Then after the color is primary, I will align the text to center. Text align will be center. Then I want the maximum width. I want the maximum width to be 900 pixels. Also, the margin is going to be 0 auto. So if I save this and I come back here, I'm having issues here. Okay, this should be hero, not help. Hero, save this. Okay, so I think the first one is sorted out. This image is what is causing confusion, this image. But don't worry, we'll fix it very soon. So that is all for the H1. For the paragraph, which is this text over here, this text, for this text over here, just come here, the paragraph, you can include font sphere. Then after including font sphere, also include regular text. After including regular text, I want the line height to be 1.5. Then I will also align the text to center, text align center. Then after aligning the text center, I want the maximum width to be 600 pixels. Then the margin will be 40 top and bottom, then auto left and right. The color will be secondary. Save. Come here. You see that this one is taking shape too. That's taking shape too. So that is it. Now let me do a clarification. You can see the maximum width of this one is 600 pixels. If I should remove the margin left and right auto, so you can see that it is aligned to the left. So but this is what is going to be placing it in the center. So come back here. Then the next thing I want to style is the form. So for the form, I also want the maximum width to be 600 pixels. So if the maximum width is 600 pixels, the margin is going to be 0 auto. Then I will include font sphere. The next thing I want to do, the border is going to be 1 pixels solid, and it's going to carry the color of the accents. The next thing is that the padding will be 0.75 rem. I don't want it to be 1 rem. Then the background color is going to be transparent, just a precaution. If I save this, you see what the form is going to be looking like. You can see what the form is looking like. It's just taking shape. Okay, so now I want to display the form as grid. Then the grid template columns, pay attention, to be 2 FR, 1 FR. So the input text is going to be taking 2 FR. This one is going to be taking 1 FR. Now let me start styling the text input. So input, then my attribute selector, text equal to the type equal to text. So for this one, the border is going to be 0, the outline is also going to be 0, border 0, outline 0. Then the background color, I'm going to make it transparent. Then the background color transparent. I want the font size, to be 1 rem. Then at include font sphere, but this is not necessary. Color secondary. I want the padding to be 0.5 rem. I believe you know everything that I'm doing here. Border outline. So border is the actual border of the. If you come here, you can see all this black, the black border. I'm removing it. The outline is when you click on it. You can see this yellow whatever that is surrounding the portion where you enter the text. I don't want it. On some web browsers it's going to be blue, but I don't want it. So that is the outline. Then the color, the background color, I want it to be transparent. I want it to inherit the background of the parent. So the font size is 1 rem. I'm including for the color, then the padding. Padding is basically the space around the text input itself. The text that you enter, the space around it. So that is the padding. If I should save this, you see what I'm having now. You see what I'm having now. So I want to start the placeholder now. I want to start the placeholder. So for the placeholder, I can just do something like this. Ampersand placeholder. For this placeholder, I can just say color is text. Save it. So you can see the color is now the text color. So if I should remove this, you can see that it is a bit deeper now. But if I should bring this back, so the placeholder is a pseudo class. It's a pseudo class I'm using to target the placeholder. You can see it's deeper now. So pseudo classes are used to target a part of the HTML element. You use the pseudo class to target a part, not the whole element, just a part of the element. So the placeholder, okay, I think that will be all for the input type text. So for the input type submit, input, then type equal to submit. For this input type submit, then padding top, the padding top is 0.85 rem, then padding bottom is 0.85 rem. I want the background color of the button, the submit button, to be the accent. Then I'm going to be including font Fira, and after including font Fira, don't forget the border is going to be 0, the outline is going to be 0. Then I will include regular text. After including regular text, then the color is going to be white. Then transition 0.25 seconds is for the hover state. Just hover. For the hover state, the background color should be the auxiliary accent. Then if I save this and come back here, you can see the button itself too. You can see the button too. So let's just style this image over here. So for the image, I'm displaying as block. The maximum width will be 100%. Then the margin, top and bottom, no, top and bottom is 40 pixels, left and right is auto. Save this and come back here. So if I should enlarge it, you can see something is wrong somewhere. It is not targeting it properly. IMG, house without background. Okay, this is inside the form. It's supposed to be outside the form. It's supposed to be outside the form. Save this, come back here. Okay, so it is fine now. It is working fine now. So that is it. But now let us work on the mobile view. For the mobile view, now if you should shrink this page, if you should shrink this page, I don't like the way it is looking over here. Although this image, the text, they are behaving normally, but I don't like the way the image is behaving. This button over here, I don't like the way it's behaving. So a quick fix for it will be to use the grid template columns 1FR. Don't forget that this form is a grid. So instead of displaying it as a 2-column layout, 2FR and 1FR, I can just use 1FR. So this will automatically come below this one on a screen that is lesser than 480. So on all these other bigger screens, it is still looking perfect. But when it comes below 480, I just want to give it that particular styling. So don't forget, the styling is going to be this below where is it, below 480. So copy this one. I'm going to be starting a whole new styling for this one at include below 480. Okay, so below 480, now what do I want? I'm going to be selecting the form. No, I'm supposed to start with the hero container, the hero section. Then inside this hero section, I have a form. Then inside this form, I have the grid template columns that I want to edit. So this grid template columns is going to be 1FR. So just a single column layout. And if you come here, you can see it has changed it to a single column layout. So another thing I want to do is that you see this text over here now. I don't like the way it is aligned to the left on this single column layout. So I can just come here and inside this form, input, then I'll bring in my attribute selector, type equal to text. Then for this one, I'll first of all text align center. Okay, then I want the width to be 100%, span the whole container. Then the margin bottom, very important, the margin bottom to create some spacing between the text item and the next item below it on the stack, 0.5 rem. Save this, come back here. So you can see it is looking way nicer now. And if you come here, Ctrl Shift I, so I don't like the way this thing is looking. So let me just do 400. So it is not displaying it. It does that sometimes, but My internet has gone AWOL. But well, let's just go with this for now. Okay, you see the way it's looking now, looking nice. So we can proceed to these other ones that are here. So we can proceed to this next section, our partnerships. We can proceed to this next section. Done the partners section. Okay, for this partner section, we're going to be having the inner container, but we're going to be having a section whose class is partners. Then we're going to be having inside, we're having dot inner container. So inside this inner container, I'm going to be having a div. Actually, I'm going to be having two divs. So let me just say div multiplied by 2 for now. Okay. So this first one, the class is going to be text. For this other one, the class is going to be logos. The class is going to be logos. So for this text now, I'm going to be having an h2 partnerships. Then for this, I'm going to be having a paragraph that this other paragraph that is here, this paragraph that is here. So I can just copy the content, Ctrl Shift I. Okay. Okay. So for these logos, normally you're supposed to look for different logos and put it there, but I'm going to be using the same logo for all 6. So img assets partners.png. So blue sky partners. So for this blue sky partners, I'll just duplicate it into 6 places, copy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, that is all for this section. Okay, so let me save this and come here, close this one. Let us see what everything looks like now. So you can see partnerships, some of our best partnerships in real estate. You can see all the logos. So let's start styling it. So to start styling it, come here, then don't forget part class. So you are going to start by selecting partners. Then after selecting partners, the next thing you want to do is to give it a width of 100%. Then a width of 100%. Then the background color, this background color is going to be pink. So save this, come here, you can see that the pink, you can see the pink color now. You can see the pink color. So for this background color of pink, then the inner container, don't forget the inner container, which is this container that I have over here. This container, I'm going to be including the inner box. Then after including my inner box, the next thing I want to include is the mobile padding. So after including mobile padding, so I can add the margin top and margin bottom of whatever I want to add. So I can do something like padding top of maybe 50 pixels, then padding bottom of 50 pixels. Then I can also add a margin bottom of 4 rem to create a space between this inner container and the outside, the exterior. So between these partners and the exterior, since there's no margin on this one. So continuing, I want to display it as a grid. This inner container I want to display as a grid. If you look at it on this one, you can see I have a 2-column layout. This is one column, this is another column. So display as grid, then the grid template columns, 1 FR, then 2 FR. So give it a gap of 100 pixels. So for this gap of 100 pixels, I can just justify the content center. Then I want to align the content center too. Align the content. Save. Come here. So you can see now. Okay, so we can continue styling now. So I will style the text first, then I'll now style the logos. For the text, you can see the text. For H2, I will include the inner box. Ignore. So I will also include, no, I'm not supposed to include my inner box, sorry. What I want to include is the header text. Then another thing I want to include is the fonts playfair. So the color is going to be primary. Then the font size 2.5 rem, margin bottom of 1 rem. Margin bottom of 1 rem. So if I save this, come here, I can see partnerships. Now let us work on this other one. So for that one, I have paragraphs. The paragraph will include font Fira. Then it will also include regular text. After including regular text, line height of 1.5, I want the color to assume that of text. Then the font size will be 1 rem. If I come here, you can see it is gradually taking shape. So that is that about the text. Now talking about the logos. So for the logos, I also want to display as grid. I mean this logo container, this logos container, I'm displaying as grid. Then the grid template columns, 1 FR, 1 FR, then 1 FR. I'm creating a 3 template column. Then I want the gap to be just 5 pixels. Just 5 pixels. Then inside these logos now, I think we have an image tag. We have 6 image tags. the width of each of them should be 100 pixels. I'm not going to set the height, so it will automatically adjust the height. Come here and you can see what it looks like over here. It should be 100%, sorry, because I'm looking at what I exactly, it should be 100%. So that is how the partnership section is. Then the next thing I want to do now is to create the mobile view. If you look at what it looks like on mobile, it is nothing to be proud of. It is nothing to be proud of. So on mobile, let us do justice to it. So the first mobile query that we are going to be writing is here. So partnerships, you can say dot partners. So for this dot partners, we have the inner container. Inside this inner container, I want to set the grid template columns. The grid template columns, I want to set it to 1FR. Then the gap is going to be 10 pixels. What this means is that this particular partnership div, don't forget the inner container over here is the one I'm setting to 1FR. Let me rectify this mistake. Okay. So this inner container over here is the one that I'm setting to 1FR. So the gap is 10 pixels. So basically this text over here and this logos over here, both of them, this one will be sitting on, like this one will come first and this one will display under. So this will be row 1, then row 2, since it's a single column layout, and the gap between the two of them is going to be 10 pixels. So as for the logos, the grid template columns is going to be 1FR, 1FR. Then the gap is going to be 20 pixels. Then now the image inside the grid template columns, this img, you can say the margin should be 0 top and bottom, then auto left and right. Then the height should be 200 pixels. It shouldn't be too big. So if I should shrink my, you can see what I have over here now. So let me reload. I don't like the way it is making me to scroll. $700. Control Shift I. Okay, so I don't have to scroll. So you can see the partnerships, then you can see all these other ones. So if I make it bigger, if I make it smaller, if I make it bigger, if I make it smaller. So that is it. So I think we have to write one more if you should shrink this image even further, you can see the way it is looking squashed. I don't like the way it is looking very squashed. So let us just write one more media query. So for this one, and if it goes below 480, so for this one it won't be hero section, it will be partners. So for these partners, don't forget you have inner container, then inside this inner container you have logos, then inside these logos I want it to be grid template columns of 1FR. Save and come back here. So if I should go below 480, it will become, you can see it is looking way better now. So basically that is the partners section. So we move on to the next one, which is the image text. I call it image text. So okay, for the image text, I'm going to be having a section. So I'm going to be having 3 image texts. Dot image text. Okay, it should be section dot. Oh, let me image text 1. Yes. So I'm having a section. Then for this section, I'm going to be having um, inside this section, the section is going to be image text. Okay. Then inside, I'm going to be having dot inner container. Then inside the inner container, I'm going to be having a div text, then an image. So dot text plus img. Okay. So for this text div over here, I'm going to be having an h2. For the first one, it will be buying or selling. Then for the second one, okay, let me copy the text for this one, buying or selling. If you notice very well, when I hover over this one, it pushes this arrow forward a bit. We are going to be doing everything. So come here, I'll be having a paragraph, Ctrl Shift V. Then the next thing I'll be having is an anchor link, a link. So for this one, so draw your search. So to draw your search and NBPS and NBPS. Okay. So I want to leave 2 spaces. This is non-breaking space, no breaking space. So basically, I'm adding a space bar. If you in HTML, you cannot manually add more than 1 space bar. If you add 1 space bar like this, HTML is going to recognize it as 1 space bar. But if you add more than 1, HTML will still have everything as 1 space bar. But if you want to have multiple space bars like that, like create that space, you can use an HTML entity, which you can enter after this ampersand over here. So NBPS is for the space bar. So I'm going to be bringing in my icon. My icon is coming from Font Awesome. This is Font Awesome over here. So let us go to Font Awesome to look for the icon that we want. So Font Awesome. Hopefully my network won't put me to shame. Okay, so icons. Yes, so look for arrow right. Okay, but you have to filter out using free. So I think I'm good to go with this arrow right over here, this first one. So copy it, then you copy this code snippet over here, come here and paste it. The reason why your Font Awesome will work is because you've imported it using this content delivery network over here that we did in the beginning. So this is the reason why your Font Awesome will be relevant in this HTML document. So yes, the next thing is the image. So for this particular image, I'm going to be using the hero house assets, hero house, but I don't think. Okay, I'll rename it later. I'll rename it later. So if I save this, let us see what it looks like first. Come here. So you can see the font awesome icon that we copied. This icon, you can see it in action over here. So the reason, like I said, the reason why this is valid is because we've imported the font awesome CSS over here. See this thing that we have over here, and you can see the relationship between the font awesome CSS file and this our HTML document is style sheet. So we've defined the relationship and we brought in the font awesome CSS. So let us start styling this. That will be image text. I'm checking my notes. Okay. So dot image text. So for this image text, there is an inner container. So for this inner container, I'm going to be including, what do I want to include? No, I think it's box. Yes, inner box. I've forgotten the name of the mixin. I also want to include mobile padding. Okay, so I can actually combine these two to form one, but that will be talk for another day. So because I use both of them together most times. So padding top, no, padding top is 20 pixels. I also want the padding bottom to be 20 pixels. Yes. Then I'm going to be displaying it as grid because obviously I want to create a 2-column layout. If you come here, I want to create a 2-column layout, this and this. So for the 2-column layout, I'm having grid template columns. So that will be 1 FR, 1 FR. Then the gap is going to be 50 pixels, the space between the grid items. Then align items center, very important. Align items center, very important. If I come here, you can see that before it will just align it to the top, but this one is aligned to the center. Look at these partnerships now. It is aligning everything to the top. The reason why it is looking as if this logo is not on the same line as partnership is because the logo itself has some spaces at the top I didn't remove, so you can just remove it on your end. So you can always download the assets on the GitHub repo. So this is the GitHub repo over here. Come to the assets page. So these are the assets. For you to download the GitHub file, you can use git clone to clone this to your device, or you can just come to this code, then you see download zip, it will download the whole project for you. So you can also fork the project if you want. So moving on, buying or selling. So that is for image text. The next thing we want to do is to style the text. So I can do something like dot text. So for this text, I can say the maximum width should be 465 pixels. So it will not go beyond 465 pixels. If you look at this one now, even though it's a 2-column layout, there is a, apart from the 50 pixels gap, there is a certain width that this one must not exceed. So that is why I'm giving it that max width of 465 pixels. So I can come here and say my H2. For my H2, I will include the header text. I want to again point something out about this header text. If you come here where we defined the header text, you see the header text on screens that are above 900 is going to be 3.5 rem. On screens that are below 900 it will be 2.75 rem. On screens that are below 480 it will be 2.25 rem. So just want to point that out. So for the image text I'm including header text, then I will also include fonts playfair. So for this one, the color is going to be primary. So for this one I will include regular text. After including regular text, then the color text. So the margin top will be 1.5 rem. Then I want the margin bottom to be, say, 3 rem, to create some spaces below. So come here, you can see the buying or selling, then you can see the text itself. Now let us style the anchor link, this link over here. So to style that link, just come here. The link is also under text, so you can still write it within this scope. So let me give more room for my CSS. So for the anchor link, text decoration none, then the color is white, background color of accents, background color accents. So the font size, I can make the font size to be 1.25 rem. I want it to be a bit bigger. Then the font weight bold, then padding, the padding of the button, of the anchor link rather, 1.25 rem, then 2 rem, then the transition 0.25 seconds, then is. So I've not created a hover state for the button yet. Let me create the hover state. So for this hover, I'm going to be having background color as that accent, auxiliary accent. So come here, then if I hover over it, you can see it is working fine, but this icon over here, so what can I do about the icon? I can create a default state for the icon. I'll just do something like transform, then translate x 0 rem, then transition 0.25 seconds, then is, don't forget this is translate x, which is horizontal translation. So on this, when you hover on this icon, it will give you background color auxiliary accent. Then it will even go further to give you the icon itself. When you hover on the button, then just transform that icon by translating horizontally 0.5 rem forward. So if I had used minus here, it would be 0.5 rem backwards. So if I hover anywhere on the, you can see if I hover anywhere on the button, it will translate it will move the icon forward. So in CSS you want to call it translate. So that is for the image text. So let us now start the image. I just want the image to be 100%. That is all I want for this text. The image, which is this one over here, I want it to be 100. No, img, the width 100%. So that is the only thing I want for the image for now. So moving on, I'm going to be doing a bit of, because it will not look good on mobile. So if I should bring it out, if I should shrink it, you see how rickety it is looking. I don't want that. So when the screen is below 900, I want you to do something for me. That's image text. Okay, so for this image text, I will select the inner container. That inner container, the grid template columns should be 1FR straight away, and the gap should be 20 pixels. So the gap 20 pixels. So I want the image to carry the order of 1. So if you look at what I have over here now, the image is to the right of this other one now. And if I want to display it on mobile, if I say grid template columns equals to 1FR, the text will be on top, then the image will be under. I don't want that. I want the image to be on top, then the text to be under. So to achieve that, I can set the image to have the order of 1. If I should save this, so it is not reflecting yet. I want the image to have an order of 1. Okay, I think I have to set the order of the other one too. So dot text, we have an order of 2. This should be text, not text. Okay, so you see it's working fine now. So you can see that the image is on top while the text is underneath. So that is how you can rearrange the order of your grid items. So now for the mobile view, if you come here and I even shrink this thing further, you can see the way it is displaying on the mobile screen. So I want everything to align center on the mobile screen. So on the mobile screen, which is if the screen is below 480 pixels, this will be dot image text. So dot inner container. So for this inner container, dot text. So just align text, align center, text align center. Then you come and select the anchor link. The margin right and left will be auto. So the margin right is auto. Also the margin left will be auto, so that it will be centered. The button will be centered. That is the link. So come here, then if you shrink it further, you see the button, the text, everything, they are aligned center. So that will be all for the image text. All I have to do is just to duplicate this section to 3 more places. So if you come here, you see that I have this and this. So I'll just duplicate it, then we just change the text and the image. So for this image text, image text 1, copy. So that will be image text 2, then image text 3. So this one will be image text 2. I don't know, should I rename this one Hero House? Let me just leave it for now to save time. So for this other one, don't forget that the image is coming before the text. So let me close the text, then the whole of this one I'll take it upstairs. For the second image text, so I think the image is investment.png, then the alternative text can be investment, then this investment, let me call it blue sky investment. So for the text, come here, this is going to be investment, then this is going to be the text, then for the button, contact us. For the button, instead of draw your search, it will be contact us. That is for the second one. If I should save this, come here, come here. So you can see how, and if I should shrink it, everything is displaying the way it's supposed to display. You can see it's displaying the way it's supposed to display. So for this last one over here, consultancy, that will be image text 3, consultancy, then the texts for the button, it will be get a quote, get a quote. Okay, then for the image, I think it is mod.png. mod.png, very good. So you can just say blue sky consultancy. So save this, come back here, come back here. Okay, so the image text is working properly. The image text is working just as needed. The page is, we have only 2 more sections to go, just 2 more sections. So just the featured properties and the footer, and we are good to go. So for the featured properties, you can see that I have this plus icon over here. When I hover over it, the cursor turns to pointer, Continental Luxury Hotels and Spa, the unnamed road, the Korodu Road. So you can also see the prices, and you need to take note of something. You can see this, all these things, they are just one element. The whole of the price, including the sign, they are all one element. But you can see that the first letter over here is what I'm using. I'm making it smaller than the remaining ones. So that is part of what you use pseudo classes for. So let's just continue. So for featured properties, featured properties. Come here and write this section. No, section. The section is going to be image card. That is what I used. Section is going to be image card. It's going to be having an h2. It's also going to be having a grid container. Dot grid container. Okay. So inside this grid container now, let's just settle this one, featured properties. I think it's just featured properties. So for this one, inside we are going to be having 3 of these actually. We are going to be having dot card, which is the single card. This dot card is standing for that dot card is just, this is a single card, this is another card, then this is another card. So dot card, inside the card I'm going to be having an image, then I'm also going to be having a div. So I'm also going to be having another div. So okay, let me take this one out for now. Finish one, then I'll duplicate div. Okay, so for this first image, I think I used assets modern house 1. Okay, modern house 1. So you can see blue sky featured. This alternates text, very important. So for this one, you can just see the class is plus. Then on your keyboard, you can just put in plus from your keyboard. So that plus is going to be this plus over here, this plus over here. So for this other one, I think I'm going to be using a class of details. So for this one, class of details, I'm going to be having h4. So this one will be continental luxury hotels and spa. Okay, so continental luxury hotels and spa. So for the address, be unnamed road, Ikorodu road. Then we also have the span tag, which is for the price. Now this span tag is for this price over here. It's for the price. So you can just say dollars, maybe 820,000. Okay, so from here we can work our way forward by duplicating the card into 3. So this will be 1, this will be 2, or let me make this thing more. You can just say card 1. Then so this will be card 3. This will be card 2. Okay. So for the card 2, obviously we have to change this one to modern house 2.jpg. So for the second one, It is Landmark Events and Resort Center. Landmark Events and Resort Center. Then 820 key. For the third card, so this will be Modern House 3. So Eco Atlantic Hotels and Event Center. Okay, so now we can start working on them. If I save this, come here, you can see my page is back to being rickety. Let us start doing justice to it. So, doing justice to it, I'm going to be selecting. Now, if you see something here, so for the image text, then this is going to be, I didn't add the comment for this one. So this one is image card. For this image card, dot image card, okay. Now for this image tag, for this image card, I won't be using. I didn't use any inner container here. So what I just have is the image. If you look at the image card, just H2, then the grid container. So what I want to do is that this image card, I will include my box. Don't forget. So after including my box, the next thing I want to include is my mobile padding. So I've included my box, my inner box and my mobile padding. Then I can say padding top 20 pixels. Then the padding bottom will be maybe 75 pixels. Then for the H2, which is the title text, this one that I have featured properties. For that H2, I'm going to be having at include header text, then at include font playfair, text align center. So after aligning the text center, the color will be primary. Then if I save this and I go back to my, come here, you can see featured properties, yes, and you can see the spacing. So let us move on to the next one. So now the grid container. For the grid container, so for this grid container now, the margin top is going to be 4 rem, the distance between the grid container and the top. So it's going to be 4 rem. I can display as grid. Then the grid template columns is going to be a 3-column layout like this one. Where are you? So 3-column layout, 1 column, 1 column, 1 column. So this will be 1 FR, 1 FR, and 1 FR. So the grid template columns, 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR. So I've splitted everything. Then I can put a gap of 2 rem. which is 32 pixels basically. Come here and you can see the way I've split everything now, but the images are overflowing because of their width. So for the card itself, so let me just leave the card for now. um, so for the image, the width is going to be 100%. If I save this, it will have corrected a lot about the design. You can see the width of the image is now 100%. So just the space that the container is allowing it to have, so 100%. But you can see that all of them, they are having varying heights. How can we do this? How can we fix this rather? So to fix it, you are going to be using, you will define a height of maybe 400 pixels. Now the magic, object fit, cover. If you, before putting object fit, let me show you what the image will be looking like. So width of 100%, then height of 400 pixels. You can see that the image is looking somehow, you can see the image is looking somehow squashed. It's looking somehow squashed. Object fit, cover, object position. I can just put it in the center. Save this, and if you come back here, it is looking more decent. So I can give it a border radius of one rem, just to give it some rounded borders. So border radius of 1 rem, save. So if I come here, you can see the border radius is working fine. So let us start working on this other one over here. So the details one. So for the details, which is this card, the details is inside the card, so I can just continue them here. So details, for the details, the position is going to be relative because I'm going to be using an absolute somewhere. Then padding can be 1.5 rem, width of 80%. Now if you look at this design that I have here, you will see that this particular div, which is the details div, is sitting on top of this image. So if you want to use the normal, let me show you the, okay, details, very good. So if you take a good look at what I have over here for the details, you will see the margin somewhere. The margin, no, this is the plus, the details. Okay, so for the details, you will see that I use a negative margin here. So the negative margin is what is responsible for the positioning of that continental luxury, the details div on top of the image. So the more I take it up, you can see what I have. So negative margin is what is responsible for it. So this will be the margin top, margin right, margin bottom, then margin left. 100 auto, 0 auto. So that is what, negative 100 rather. So the margin is going to be negative 100 auto, 0 then auto. Then don't forget that the background color is going to be white. Then background color of white. The next thing that you're going to be having is border radius of, don't forget, 1 rem, Also, you are going to be having a padding bottom of 3 rem to make more room. So I want to create a distance between this unnamed road, the Ikorodu road, and this particular span tag over here. I position this one absolute. So padding bottom 3 rem. So if I save this one and show you what it will look like for now. I'm not selecting something right. I'm not selecting something right. So this is card, this is details. Details is inside the card. Background color red. Okay, it is working fine. Okay, this should be negative 100 pixels, please. So negative 100 pixels, we push it up exactly. That is what I want. So let me take this one out. Now for the H4, which is also inside the details, H4. For that H4, I'm going to be using include font sphere. So after including this font sphere, font size 1.5 rem. So the margin bottom is 0.75 rem. The color is secondary. So if I save this, come back here, you can see that this one is taking shape already. So Continental Luxury Hotels and Spa. So for the paragraph, which is this unnamed road, Ikorodu road, for the paragraph, I'm going to be including font sphere. Then I'm going to be including regular text, then color text. So for this span tag now, this span tag is what is responsible for this thing over here, this 820,000. So the span tag now, how do we position it there? The first thing, position absolute. So don't forget, right 0, bottom 0, right 0. So after that, you come and set the font size to maybe 1.25 rem. You include font sphere. After including font sphere, the color is going to be white. So after having your color of white, the padding will be 0.5 rem, 1 rem, 0.5 rem, 1 rem, 0.5 rem, then 1 rem. So don't forget that the background color is going to be that primary color. So the border radius, so you're going to be having 0, 0, 1 rem, then 0, because it is only this edge that I want. So this will be 0, this will be 0, this will be 1 rem, then this will also be 0. So come here, 0, save it, come here, and come here. So you can see the border radius is not showing. This should be border radius. Exactly. So you can see that the span tag is properly placed now. So this plus sign over here, let's go and work on it. That plus sign, let us go and work on it. So for the plus, I can close this one and I can close the details too. So to work on the plus now, the card, I will position the card relative so that I can bring in the plus, which is this one over here. So dot plus, I can position it as absolute. So the top is going to be 30 pixels, then it's going to be having right also of 30 pixels. Let me take this one out. Right of 30 pixels. Then for the background color, if you take a good look at the background color of this one, you can see that the background color is a bit transparent. So we are going to be achieving that using the RGBA. So with the help of the RGBA, we can add the color. So the color is going to be white, the background color. So the alpha is going to be 0.5, just halfway between transparent and opaque. So I also want the width to be 50 pixels and the height to be 50 pixels. I want the border to be 2 pixels solid, then don't forget white. So the border radius is going to be 0.5 rem. Save. Come here and you can see that, no, not here. So you can see that it is placed there now, but you can see the plus button. You can see the plus button that is not in the middle. So how can you bring the plus button to the middle? So this whole container now, you can display it as flex, then you position the button in the middle. How can you do that? You can come here and say display as flex, justify content center, then align content, align items rather center. So if you save this one, it will bring the button to the center. You can see the button is at the center. Now let us add some styling, the plus icon rather, let us add some styling for the plus icon. So you can see that this plus icon now, to add some styling for it, you can just come here and do something like the color, but it is currently black, so color will be white. Then after setting the color, the font size, you can set it to 2.5 rem. Then the font weight is going to be bold. Font weight is going to be bold. Then the cursor will be pointer. The cursor pointer, yes. If you save this one, you can see that the font have increased. Okay, now we can move on to making it mobile responsive, because if you shrink it, you are then going to get one hell of a layout. So you can see the way this one is behaving now. Come here and Control Shift I. So if you come here, you can see the page is getting messy again. So for this one, all we have to do is very simple actually. For this one, just come to this is the image card, not this one. So image card. For this image card, so the margin top can be something like 2 rem. Now let me attack the grid container. Dot grid container. So for this grid container, the grid template columns is going to be 1fr, so that you can just put everything on top of one another. Then the gap will be 40 pixels. Gap will be 40 pixels. So then come to the details. For these details, look at the h4. For the h4, I want the font size to be 1.25 rem. Save. So come here, you can see that everything is now sitting on top of one another. So let me reload this, then Ctrl Shift I. So you can see that everything is now sitting on top of one another. Everything is sitting on top of one another. So that is how it's going to be looking on mobile. So now we move on to the footer. Move on to the footer. Move on to the footer. Now I think this is good. So we move on to the footer. For the footer, we are going to be using a grid container. So okay, I think featured properties, I can close this one. Now onto the footer. So footer, I can have a class of footer. So inside it, I'm going to be having an inner container. Then this inner container is also going to be a grid container. So inside the grid container, I'm going to be having 3 items. I'm going to be having dot branding, plus I'm going to be having dot links. Then I'm also going to be having footer credits, plus dot footer credits. Okay, so for this branding now, let me just say branding. This one links, then this one footer credits. Now if you take a good look at what I have over here, this first one, let me, now you can see that I have the logo, the image, and the social media links over here. This is what I call the branding. All these other ones that are over here, these are the ones I refer to as the links, while this section over here is what I call the footer credits. So I can use grid to position this one here, position the links here, then I'll position this other one over here very easily. So let's add all the elements to make this thing easier. So under the branding now, under the branding, I'm going to be having an image, img. So asset, then blue sky real estate, blue sky logo, blue sky logo. Then for these links, okay, I think I'm still going to be having social links after this one, this social media image, these social media logos. So they are going to be coming from font awesome as well. They're going to be coming from font awesome. Okay, so dot social links. So for these social links, I'm going to be having a link. Then inside the link, I'm going to be having icon container. Then inside the icon container, I'm going to be having the icon itself. So let me just multiply this one by 4. So So it's supposed to be dot icon container. Let me say div dot icon container multiplied by 4. Okay, very good. So this one I can just say just the placeholder for now. You can just add your social media links there. You can add your social media links there. Okay, so you see all the placeholder links. You see all the placeholder links. So the first one is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, then LinkedIn. So this will be the space for Facebook, this will be for Twitter, this will be for Instagram, then this will be for LinkedIn. Okay? No, this will be for LinkedIn. So we go back to font awesome, then we look for Facebook. So this is the one I want. This is the one I want. So copy this one, then paste it here. Facebook, then Twitter. So this is the Twitter that I want. Don't forget, if you are using the free one like me, make sure that you filter your results by free. So for Twitter, then Instagram, Instagram, then the last one is LinkedIn. So this is it over here. Okay, so I think I'm done with this one. I'm done with the branding parts. So for these links, I'm going to be creating links column. So for the links column, I can say dot links column. Then inside the links column, I'm going to be having an H4. I'm also going to be having, it should be H4. I'm also going to be having 4 anchor links, A multiplied by 4. So very good. So don't forget the placeholder, then placeholder, and also another placeholder link. Come here, no, enter, then enter. This one will be here. So for this first one, we're going to be having about, then for this other one, say about blue sky. The second one, our features. Then contact us, book a meeting. So we can just duplicate this column. So for the second one, I can do something like resources. So this one is going to be our blog. Then after our blog, I'm going to be having something like news. The last one for rent. So we have company, we have company. Then for this one, solutions. Then after solutions, platform customer pricing. Platform customer, then pricing. So then this last one is going to be contacts. So for contacts, I'm having privacy policy and terms of use. Then terms of use. Then we have just a demo phone number plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just anything info at bluesky.com. Just something classy there. So I'm done with the links. Then the last one is going to be the footer credits, which is going to be two span tags actually. The first one at blue sky real estate. Then the last one is going to be span 2023 blue sky all rights reserved. Okay, so guess what, my footer will be looking very messy right now. Very messy. So you can see all the font awesome icons that we added. So you can see the terms of the real estate, the footer credits, and all the links themselves. So the first thing I want to do is to use the grid container to contain everything, like to assign each and every one of them to their respective positions, just like this one. So you can see this one here, the links here, then the footer credit here. How can you do that? Very simple. So for you to do that, I'm using the footer and the and the inner container here, which also happens to be a grid container. This is supposed to be so then we have div. Yes, I've corrected it. So this is what it's supposed to look like. Now image card, then footer. For this footer, I'm going to be selecting the footer. I can easily use the footer tag itself to select it. Simple selector, if you remember. So the width is going to be 100%, just as usual. Then the inner container. So for this inner container now, I'm going to be having at include inner box, then also at include mobile padding. I'm so supposed to combine these two together. So I can give it a padding top to create some padding top, some distance between because this is the footer. So padding top, I can say 50 pixels. Create some space between the footer and the item directly on top. So padding is 50 pixels. Okay, So now I'm going to be using the grid template area to achieve what I want to achieve. So the first thing I'm going to be doing, don't forget that this inner container now, it is housing three elements: the branding, the links, and the footer credits. So I can come here and do something like dot branding. So dot branding grid area will be something like maybe branding. Okay, then for the links, the grid area will be links. Then for the footer credits, the grid area can be credits. Okay, so if I should save this one now, you won't see any changes on the web page. You won't see any changes. The only thing you will see is just the mobile padding and the 1 to 100 stuff that we have been doing since. So the next thing you want to do after setting the grid area of these three items, so you are going to be displaying the inner container as grid, then grid templates areas. So now for this grid template area, we are going to be doing something. So for this one, I'm going to be doing something like branding, links, then links. Then for the next row, for the first row, branding, links. For the second row, I'm going to be having credits, then credits. So if you look at what I have over here now, I've created a 5-column layout. So in the first row, branding will be taking 2 columns, link will be taking the remaining 3. But in the second row, credit will be taking everything. If you come here, you can see that out of the 5 columns, branding is taking 2, link is taking 3. Then for the footer credit, the second column, the second row rather, the footer credit is taking the whole of the column. So that is what I'm trying to achieve. If I should save this one and I come back here, you can see what I'm having now. You can see what I'm having: the branding, these are the links, then this is the footer. So having achieved that one, now we can easily start to do the remaining ones. So for branding, let us start with the branding. For this branding, the image, so maximum width is 200 pixels, don't forget. Maximum height is 100 pixels. If I save this one, you come here, you can see the width and the height is controlled. So then I can come here, dot social links. For social links, the distance between the logo and the social links, I want it to be 0.75 rem. So margin top 0.75 rem. So I'm going to be displaying it as flex, and I'm going to be justifying content as space between, and I can align the items to center, align item center. I can create a gap of 10 pixels. Then the width, I want it to be max content, so it will just maximize the width. Is not going to be taking the width of 100%, just what is enough to contain the social media icons. So that is what I want. If I should save this one, you'll see that everything, you can see it is now displaying as a flex. It is displaying them as flex now. Come here, then for the social links, now for the anchor links, which are the branding, you can see this anchor link over here for the a tags. So this a over here, text decoration is none. Then the width is 40 pixels. Save this one. Then now the icon container, which is this icon container over here for all the icons, this icon container over here. So dot icon container. So for the icon container, the width is going to be what? 40 pixels. Also the height, it's going to be 40 pixels. The width 40 pixels, height 40 pixels. Margin right is going to be 20 pixels. Then I can give it a border of 1 pixel solid, then that secondary color, or I can just use text. I can give it a border radius of 100% because I want it to be rounded. So border radius 100%, padding of 1 rem. So if I should save this one for now and I come here, you can see what it's giving me here. You can see what I'm having over here. So let me, so border radius, then border that's okay. This should be icon container. Yes, this should be icon container because I'm not seeing the border there. So you can see the border now. Like you can see the border now. So to center all those icons inside the border, we can use Flexbox. So to display flex, justify content center, align items center. So also the transition 0.25 seconds is okay. Then we also have an icon, which are the icon itself. So I want the font size to be 1.2 rem. I want it to be 1.2 rem. Then the color should be the text color. The transition to 0.25 seconds is okay. So if I should save this one for now, come here, you can see what I'm having now. You can see what I'm having. I've not created the hover state for it. So if I want to create the hover state, I can just come here, the hover state for this first one. I can just come here and say ampersand hover. So for the hover state, border is going to be 1 pixel solid. Then don't forget the secondary color. That secondary color, then if you hover on the anywhere around the icon container, then this icon itself, so I want it to change color, so the color will be secondary. So if I hover on it, you can see, and you can see the smooth transition. You can see the smooth transition. So that is all for the this ones. But one thing is that I want the last child of this anchor link. I want the last child, the margin right, to be 0. So close the icon container. So this one, ampersand last. I want the last child, the margin right, to be 0. Save. Okay. So that is that about that for this particular part. Now let's go into these ones. So for the links, I'm going to be displaying this link section as a grid. So about to be taken 1, resources 1, company 1, then contact will be taken 1. So I think branding, we can close branding. So for the links, so display as grid. Then after displaying as grid, the grid template columns should be 1FR, 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 then 1FR. So let me close this branding. So the links is what I'm working on now. So this links now. Now to select the links column, I can do something like dot links column. So for this links column now, the H4, I want to include Playfair. After including Playfair, then the font size is going to be what, 1.25 rem. Then the color is going to, don't forget your primary color, then the margin bottom is going to be 1 rem. So if I should save this one, I'm having an issue somewhere. Okay, yes, this is supposed to be, and this one too. Come here, so you can see the way it has partitioned all these ones. But let us display all these ones as block. It's supposed to correct the way it is looking now. 1FR, 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 1FR. So for the H4, the next thing we want to style is the anchor link. For this anchor link, display as block at include regular text. So the first thing you want to do is to display as block, and then you include regular text. If I save this one, you come back here, you can see that it has corrected the grid layout. So let's just add the remaining styling for the anchor link. So for this anchor link now, the font size is, for this anchor link, the font size is 0.85 rem. Then text decoration is none. The margin is 0.5 rem, then 0. Margin top and bottom is 0.5 rem, which is 8 pixels basically. Then transition is 0.25 seconds is. So let me quickly create the hover state. So for the hover state, what do I want to happen on hover? Just change the color. No, the color to secondary. Okay, so save this one. Come here, you can see the color itself is supposed to be changed to text. So the color itself, text, save. Okay, you can see now everything is working fine now. Everything is working fine now. So that is all for this other one. Now the footer credits. So for the footer credits, we can close this one. For the footer credits, margin top is 5 rem. So margin top is 5 rem. Come here. You can see the 5 rem I've given some spacing. So after giving me that margin top of 5 rem, the border top, that straight line on top of the footer credits, I can use this border top to create it. So this border top, I can decide to make it 1 pixel solid, then text, padding top 1.5 rem, padding bottom 1.5 rem, padding top 1.5 rem, padding bottom 1.5 rem. So if I save this, you see it has given some spacing. So blue sky real estate, then 2023 blue sky. So this is, both of them are inline elements, but I want to space them. I can use Flexbox to space the two of them to the extreme. So I can just come here and do something like display flex, then justify content, space between, align items, center, save. So come here. Okay, so it's working fine. So to now style the content, I can just come here and say the color is going to be what? The text color, and the font size is going to be 0.85, then rem, save it. So you can see blue sky real estate. That is that about that. Okay, I think for one funny reason I might have made some mistakes in the one I uploaded initially with these fonts. Okay, so that is the footer, but this footer is not going to be looking very nice on the mobile view. The footer is not going to be looking nice on mobile view. So now let me collapse this thing to a 900 pixel screen. If I collapse it to a 900 pixel screen, that will be, no, I don't want to click on it. That will be Ctrl Shift I. Then if I should collapse it to a 900 pixel screen, I don't like, although it is still not affected, but I don't want to wait till it gets so compressed before I do something about it. So on the 900 pixel screen, close the image card. So for this footer, selecting the inner container. So the grid template area, I want to have one on top, branding on top, links in the middle, then credits under. More like a one column layout. So a single column layout rather. So branding. So for the second one, I'm having links. Then the third one, I'm having credits. So to make it look neater, I can just bring this one to the okay. Wow, why do I keep making this mistake? Okay, so it's working fine now. But the grid template area, also I want to give it a gap of 30 pixels. So it will give that spacing that I want. So below 900. So you can see now that this one is on top, this one is in the middle, then this one is under. So moving forward, another thing I want for the branding, I'm going to select the branding. Don't forget the branding is inside the inner container. For this branding now, I want to display as flex, but this time the flex direction is going to be column. It's going to be column. Then I want to align the items center. Let me save it so you can see the effects. Come here, so you can see the effects now. You can see the effects now. So my internet is the reason why this is not displaying properly. I mean the icons. Okay, I think my internet is back now. So then now the image itself, that image, I want to increase the image. So the max width will be 300 pixels. The max height will also be 300 pixels. Save it, then come back. Let me see. You can see the image is now bigger. So for the social media links, I want to increase the gap, the spacing between them to 30 pixels. So for the social media links, so I can say gap is 30 pixels. What am I doing? What am I doing? Gap is 30 pixels. Save this. Come here. So you see I've increased the gap between them. Please don't mind this thing not displaying. My internet is the reason why it's not displaying well. So for the footer credits, this footer credits, I want to reduce the margin top to 1 rem. So branding, so dot footer credits, margin top 1 rem. Save this, come back here. You see the margin top, it have reduced. So if I should reduce this thing even further to maybe a 600 pixel screen, you see how these things, they are too close, they are too close by. So I want to reduce, I want to give it a 2 column layout instead of a 4 column layout that it is now. So on a 600 pixel screen, pixel screen. So I'm going to be having footer. Then for this footer dot inner container, then for the links, this is going to be links. For these links, grid template columns, one FR, then one FR. Another thing I want to do after changing it to a two column layout, then dot links, I want to give a spacing between all the links itself. So for this links column, the margin top should be 1 rem. So before I leave this one, the image card, I'm supposed to add something here for the image card. I think it's the image card. I'm supposed to add dot grid container to make it more responsive. So grid template column 1 FR. I think I added it under 900. Image card. Okay, so under 600. I'm supposed to have this one under 600. So grid template column 1 FR. I don't know why I keep making this mistake. So okay, come back here. So you can see now it's a two column layout. So at 900, this is supposed to be 1 FR, 1 FR. The image card to be 1 FR, 1 FR. Exactly. So when it gets to 600, it becomes 1. So this is how it is supposed to work. Okay. So for this other one, you can see it's a two column layout now. So just but if I should shrink this thing more, if I should shrink it more, I don't like the, even though it is not bad like this, but just to make it look nicer, and judging by the fact that it's going to be a very small screen, let me even work on it further. So after image text, so footer. For this footer, I'm going to be selecting the inner container, then dot links. So after selecting the links, grid template columns 1 FR, then text align center. Okay, then the footer credits, this one is for links. If I save this one now, you see what I have. So go below for it, you can see the grid template columns is what, everything is 1 FR and the text is aligned center. So for this footer credits now, I want it to display the same way as this one is displaying. So dot footer credits, then footer credits. The flex direction now will be column, and the gap will be 0.5 rem. So come here, you can see the flex direction is now column and text align is center. Text is aligned center, and you can see it's giving a bit of gap. So you can see what it will look like on a very small screen. We should reduce it a bit, 385. Set the partner logos, and yeah, the site is up, ready to go. So you can upload to whatever platform. You can use GitHub to host the website for free. There is a video you can check on the channel where I explained how to host a website for free, so you can use it to host this one for free. So actually I used this particular project in the video, so I think the video is somewhere here, how to host a website on GitHub for free. So thank you very much for staying to the end. It has been a very long tutorial, so don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and also help us to share on your social media platforms. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.